Okay, so the first card we're going to look at is the Lilith's Omen. Cursed, by the way. And this one, it says summon. Remember, summon, not play. So not like Siggy. Not Siggy Mastermind, which was released at 12 and had a 4-body. This is a special, and it's not organic. I want to point out, it's not organic, so you cannot tutor this with Wispa's Tribute. And let me change the music. Lion King is not the mood I am in right now. What's a god spell? Or do you mean gods? Oh. This is fine. I just need something that's like no words, so I don't get distracted. Okay. And then it says summon 2 units. So what they were gonna do was they were just gonna have it summon 2 units and give them Doomed and Rupture. And then they realized that what would happen is people would... 2 things would happen. One, people would instantly like summon out, you know, like 2... it would just be like the old Portal. People would just summon out NL Warriors or like Foglets, right? Like, can you... Like imagine turn 1, you're against White Frost. They're on red coin. You play a card, and because you have to play a unit usually as your first card. Most factions don't have any specials; they can just play on an empty board and not create a unit. They summon 2 Foglets, and then they would like leader your thing twice, and now you have 2 Foglets at 8 power. Not just that, then they could Sabbath them out later, right? And they wouldn't die. So the goal of this is, they want you to get 2 units from your deck, any 2 units. It can be bronze, gold, whatever. Say it gives monsters some consistency or some to make sure, like, you know, a tutor. Monsters need a tutor pretty badly. Other factions have a lot of consistency tools, and Monster doesn't really have anything other than Naglfar. And if you're Wild Hunt, you can play Gales, but that's it. Naglfar's not really reliable. So Deathwish has like Brewess, but it's 2 random Deathwish cards. There's Penitent, but it's a random 7p. And again, it's a summon. So this will be an improvement to monsters, especially like devotion decks in terms of consistency. But they didn't want it to just let you play 2 cards, because playing thinning 2 and getting those 2 cards on your board would be, I guess, too many points. So they wanted to give them Rupture. I got the impression that this is about, from what Vlad said, cards like She-Troll, combo cards that get value over time if they stay alive. And so instead of making it so those cards can stay alive by like boosting their armor or whatever, or giving monsters more threats that need to be answered, or that play for points when deployed, instead they're gonna let you play 2 cards or get 2 cards on the board at the same time. So maybe you can get like a defender and, or sorry, get a guys, the truth is, I've been thinking about it since they revealed this, and I have no fucking idea what the hell this is for. So maybe there's other cards that make this make sense. But right now, this seems giga bad. This seems garbage tier. this seems like I might pay 6 provisions for it, maybe. To me, this is on the same tier as this card right here. This one lets you your hand fix. And only works with like adrenaline cards. Like they mentioned She-Troll, but what it means is I have to have like 2 Slizzards on the board, or like because it's summon, it's not even play. You can't have like Haunt on the board and play 2 Deathwish cards. It's summon. So like you can't use it on like Nithral, it won't make sense. And it doesn't work on Phantom. On Beast it would come out as a 2, because it would go to 6 most likely, and then take 4 damage. You can't have a card like Marlene to give them Veil when they come out, because as soon as they're summoned, they get Doomed and Rupture. I guess if you're playing Glusty, you can summon 2 Noon Wraiths. If it's being summon and play, that's a good question. Summoning a unit just pulls it somewhere and places it on the right of the board, of the row. So, for example, when you play Quacks, where is it? This card. Each player summons the highest provision unit from their deck to the melee row. And summon means move automatically to the battlefield, not considered play. That means, like, if the highest provision card in your deck is Egern, and you play Quacks, Egern will just show up on the melee row, on the right side. And then in this case, because Egern has no base armor, it will die immediately. So, summon is good for cards that don't have a deploy. Summon would be good for this. Summon would be not good for this, because this has a deploy. Unless it's like round 3 and you don't care. Summon would not be good for this, because this has a deploy. Summon would be not very good for this. Right? But then there are some cards that don't have a deploy, but have a good passive, like Keltullus. Right? That's a good summon. This is a good summon, right? Just has a passive. So in terms of monster cards, or cards that monsters would want to summon, I guess I should say, 2 units. Units that you want to summon as monsters. There's She Who Knows, but if you give it Rupture, it doesn't work, right? Kelly, same thing. Sure, you can boost it by 3 in the same turn with your leader if you're playing Carapace leader. But that doesn't seem very good. Quacks is just way better for Kelly. Like, why play... Like, Quacks has a 4 body. Same with Relics. Same with She Who Knows. Quacks is better for this. Unseen Elder is okay as a summon. But then it would just do 2 bleed and then die. So what the hell is the point? No. Mamuna is a good summon. Yeah, Mamuna, Morntart. I disagree about Beast and Piggy. I'm not going to use a 12 provision card to get out a 7 or 5p and have him start at 2. It really seems to me like summon, aside from Mamuna. And I wouldn't use it on, I mean, I guess Morntart because it has armor. Aside from Mamuna, it tells me this is just for Deathwish. Like, you can do it with Plague Maiden, you can do it with Dettlaff, kind of, not really. And even Plague Maiden, like, you're losing 7 points, right, to the Rupture. And like Manticore, right? That's the someone's mentioned. Okay, but using a 12 provision card. Let's say you play Manticore and Rotfiend or something. You summon Manticore and Rotfiend, or like. I mean, you're taking 5 damage to kill the lowest. Like, you're not getting. This isn't getting. Like, you have to have consumes on the board, right? So what are the consumes that work with this? The consumes that work with this are going to be Desert Banshee, Slizzard, right? Siren, Brewis, the second charge of Barghest, Barbaghazi, and Whereat for one of them, because it's one per turn and it goes to the right and yada yada yada. And assuming this is to the far right of whatever of the row, and I guess this if you haven't clicked it. So you need a clickable consume, not a deploy consume. So you can't use Endrega Warrior or this or this or this because it's a summon, not played. So even if you get it to range, this won't come out. This is when you play, not when you summon. When you play, if we look at Deathwish cards, what are some cards that you want? You don't want to do this because against 12 provision for what? Like this, maybe, right? Penitent, maybe. In round 1. Let's say you have Phantom and Beast in your deck, okay? And you're running this stratagem, Urn of Shadows, and you have blue coin. You can summon Penitent. And then Penitent dies and gets out, and like you use stratagem on it, and then when it dies, you get one of these out, and you have an engine to it thins and etc. Or like Pugo or Goliath, like you can do that, right? Penitent seems like an okay target for this. Like if you have either Urn of Shadows or Radea, that's it. Weavis won't do anything for you because it's not a play. It's a summon. I mean, does typing armor do anything? Wait. It could work on Kashi. Kashi and Kiki. Yeah, Caretaker can only purify 1. Caretaker is a 7 for 9 with a 2 cooldown. Overwhelming Hunger, yes. You could use Overwhelming Hunger to consume them. And then you wouldn't lose the points, but you'd have to use Leader. So you could use it to get like Ruin. And well, no, not Ruin because it gets doomed. And you can't use it on Dettlaff because it gets doomed, right? Because the Deathwish on this says when it enters the graveyard. And what does doomed mean? Doomed mean it does not enter the graveyard. It gets banished. Endrega them? No, Rupture happens at the end of your turn. Same turn that you summon them, they will die. You have to consume them immediately. You can't Endrega them. They're not going to be on the board and then get Rupture at the end of your turn. It's going to happen immediately. Summon, then give them Doomed and Rupture. And the Doomed part is because the most important thing for them was not making this a good card. was making sure monsters can't cheese. It seems like whenever monsters stuff comes along, the primary concern isn't make this a good card. It's let's make sure it can't be cheesed. Remember Sir Scratch-A-Lot? This only gets immunity at the start of the game. Specifically, they didn't want you to have like be able to AQ it and Abaya the AQ and just have like multiple immune cats on the board. Whereas like Tibor, it doesn't matter if it's summoned, it still works. Or you can make a million Tibors with practitioners. Can you make a million cats with no? You can only make one with with AQ. You can make one if your AQ survives by Abayaing it, and you can make one with Stratagem from Redea or from Bluecoin. So again, going back to the unit, like I was looking through the stuff, looking for things that have armor, because like you can't pull out stuff that has Veil, right? So what are the cards that have Veil? I mean, that monsters have access to? Literally these 3 cards. That's it. Right? These are the 3 cards you'd want to summon. I guess this neutral also because it's an order. This you'd never summon, this you'd never summon, this you'd never summon, this maybe you can summon, I guess. Like, but why would you? It's a fucking 5 with 0 anything else. So, the reason for that limitation of the units that don't have Veil is either some of the new cards have Veil, or it's just these 2. They didn't want you to be able to summon, God forbid, you use a 12 provision card to get 14 points on the board and not have it be doomed and ruptured immediately. I just don't fucking understand. Is it confirmed? I haven't heard anything about that, about a new archetype. And like I said, let's keep questions to the cards we're talking about. Right now we're talking about the monster card. What will trigger first, Rupture or Sabbath? What do you mean Sabbath?
Need people like me.
Sabbath is... Oh, for the transform? Statuses, and I have a video on order of execution in order operations in Gwent on my YouTube channel. You can go watch that if you want. But Sabbath, it says end of your turn, and statuses are after end of turn effects. So the Sabbath would trigger first, and the Gurney would transform. So not only was this basically not necessary, because like aside from Foglets, I don't see the value in using that special for anything else that monsters, like any other veiled units that monsters have. Again, not knowing the other cards that are coming in this draw. You would never want to summon this. You could summon like these 2. Or these 3 are the only things you would ever summon with that card that have Veil. And like... What? Yeah, Slizzers don't have Zeal. The only consume that monsters have that have Zeal, they used to have Kayran. Kayran used to have Zeal and 3 charges, but now it's Deploy when it got reworked. And so the only Zeal consumed that monsters actually have is Brewis, which is a relict, which requires that you have played. If you have played these 2, you can summon Brewis and it will have 2 charges. Sorry, 3. It has 1 baseline. Some death wish. Again, like if I play this and then consume it the next turn, this will play for 10. Right? This will play for 9. If I use that card to get a Rotfiend out, it will play for 5 at this. Why the hell would I want to play it for 5? Unless I have a consume on the board, it is garbage. And the consumes that you need to have on the board are what? Like, of all the cards that monsters have, The only ones that can be used to consume something summoned by this new card are Siren, Slizzard, Barbagazi, which you've never seen in your life, the second charge of Vargas, assuming that you have dominance, Wererat if it's the rightmost unit on the robe, and even then it's only for one of them, and Brewis. I guess, and Weebus too. Banshee. Like, you can't use these, you can't use these, you can't use the deploy on this. No, it doesn't work with Toads. Toads are when you play a Deathwish card. Guys, I have thought about this. I have played monsters before. What spawns? No, it's summon. Lilith's Omen summons 2 units. Toads summon themselves from the graveyard when you play a Deathwish unit. V does not go back to the unit if Doom, to the deck if Doom. Doomed units are banished when they leave the board. This is literally only good, and like the thing is, and in terms of Deathwish, which Deathwish cards do you want to consume if they have Doom? Well, not Dettlaff, not Ruin, right? Not Succubus. So, and not anything you ever want to Sabbath, like a Goliath or a, you know, Brewis or whatever, because this is a card I Sabbath. You can't even use it to summon Toad for carryover. Like let's say you lost round 1 and then your opponent dry passed. You'd be like, oh, I could just thin out my 2 Toads and get them into my graveyard. No, you can't. There are no Purify orders outside of Caretaker. That is it. Everything else is a deploy. Literally the only card. We looked at armor already. The only... Look, I see 2 uses for this. One is... I'm all the way. One is Kashi and Kiki Queen. Okay? Because these are units that don't have a deploy. They have armor, low base power, which you want it to be even lower because it triggers Thrive. So if you have Cat on board, if you have Sir Scratchlot on the board, you summon Kashi and Kiki Queen, most likely in round 3, because if those are in your deck, that's your win con. And then you click the cat. That's it. And Dragolarva could be done too. Fuka. And Dragolarva, Fuka, Penitent is another good example. Not because of the Thrive. Although, it, you know, you could summon this, and then this, when it dies, pulls out like Pugo, right? Well, not necessarily. Like, maybe you don't want to... Caranthir is... forces you to have a card like Kashi or Kiki in your hand, which can make your deck kind of clunky. Imagine, like I see like an Arrakis Swarm deck that wants to bleed and then have a finisher with Glusty and have a finisher with Glusty and Frightener. To win round 1, right? You could summon Kiki Queen and these things, you know, I don't know. If you have Petrie's Filter on the board, you could use it to summon Itter. Sort of, but then Itter takes 7 damage. Like, you want low base power stuff. You can't use Yaga unless you have Petrie's Filter. Because Yaga only gains Zeal on deploy, not on summon. That's right, boys and girls. Yaga is so bad that even if you have more than 25 points on a row and you quacks it out, you can't use it the same turn. So you're like, what if I can use the new card? Nope, because it gets Doomed and Rupture and has 1 base power. So, somebody asked, can you Caretaker stuff that you summon, right? You can do that to one of them. What else can you do? You can boost them. That's another way to deal with Rupture, right? So you need stuff that has a boost order. So if you have a Vial on the board, if you have Petrie's Filter, Thunderbolt, this thing has an order of give armor, exclamation ale. If you have a Mushy Truffle order, they can boost stuff. There's no soldiers and monsters, so that doesn't work. What are all the order cards that are available to monsters? Nothing here boosts. There's nothing that boosts an ally, right? It's not for Aklog. It is absolutely not for Aklog. Why would I want to summon 2 4 provision cards from my deck that I can get with Brewis out anyway? If I use Brewis to get these, I get 6 points plus the 2 rats. If I use this new card, I get 0 points and 2 rats. Yeah, TA. Like, if you have TA, you can boost them. That's it, right? Like, because this boost is on deploy, so it doesn't work. I can also see you using it on Brewis. I don't think you should. Again, because Quacks is better for Brewis. You can use it on Gurney. Based on what we've talked about, and you could technically use it on Defender because it has armor, but do you really want a 3 power, 4 armor Defender? Are you serious? The Doom part is what gets me. Because, my god, it would be cool, like, maybe I could be okay with a 0 tempo play if it puts Ruin and a Succubus in my graveyard. Not Spirit Tip Asleep. Guys, think about it for 5 seconds. This would take damage, it would banish itself at the end of the turn. I see this as being useful in Thrive decks. Gurney and Mamuna. Sure. That's a play. Yeah, but you don't play Spear Tip. Like, why would you summon the Asleep version, right? Just to have it, I guess it's like 2 thinning or something. But you don't put Spear Tip Asleep in your deck to you know, you don't do it because 12 for 11 is good. You do it because 18 for 11 is playable if you also have an Osroll. I mean, I will never use it on Spirit Tip Asleep. But there's like nothing good. No, it's monster units too. It's not even neutral units. What, is there something neutral that you'd want to summon? Sienna, but no, because Rupture would kill it. Yen, no, Rupture would kill it. Alzer, no, Rupture would kill it. No, Rupture would kill it. Rupture would kill it. This one, Rupture would kill it. Rupture would kill it. Because you'd want something with an order, right? Snowdrop, I guess. We could have used it for Snowdrop if it wasn't Monster Unit. Caretaker. He can summon himself, purify a thing, and then die. So he can be a 9 provision roach that purifies and then kills itself. Necromancer Stone. Bro, it's a summon. It is a summon. Guys, how do you people not know the difference between summon and play? Whenever you play a bronze unit, summon. No. For thinning alone, is that 12 provisions to thin 2 cards? I mean, just play Knickers and Roach. It's only Knickers and Roach together is the same as a 13 provision card. Remember, every card is minimum 4, subtract 4 when you're doing calculations, right? Why? Because like if you want to put Roach in your deck, right? Instead of a 4P card, you have to come up with 5 provisions. Because everything, like, when you make a deck, think of it this way. Oh. This is how everyone should always think about provisions. Every deck starts like this. There are only 65 provisions in Gwent. Not 165, 65. That is what you get with your typical 15 provision leader. Okay? So really, there's 50 provisions in Gwent. That's all there is. And everything costs its provision minus 4. Okay? So a Keltullus is a 9. That means a Keltullus is the same as a 9 and an 8. So you can put an Oneiromancy in your deck, right? And take one out. Notice it says 56. Or you can put Decree and ADC in your deck and take out, and you end up with 56 again. So Decree plus a 9 plus an 8 equals a 13. How? Subtract 4. 4 plus 5 equals 9. Why? Because this is a 9 provision card. This costs 9. You see that? How it says 9? The number 9. And this says 5. And this says 4. 4 plus 5 equals 9. See, look. I have 56. I take out a 4. And I take out a 5. And I get a 9. Do you see how much simpler the fucking game would be if everything being a 4 was a 0 and everything else was subtracted 4 and you got 65 provisions at the start of deck building? It would be so much easier to do deck building in your head and would be more intuitive for new players. And anyway, that's a whole other subject. Trying it. Wrote a long article as a long time ago. Every now and then somebody who's really bad at arithmetic gets confused and says, oh, VFC or provision card, blah, 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 blah. All the new cards are in exclamation new cards. 4 factions have been revealed. Okay, so let's go back to what, like, again, the only units that I see, even neutral, that you'd want to summon and give Doomed and Rupture to All right, we're talking provision. So you're saying, can you use it for thinning? For 12 is really 2 8 provision cards. So why would I pay 12 to thin 2 when I could use like Hillick and ADC for the same thing, or like Marching Orders and ADC, or Orochian and Knickers. Orochian and Knickers give you 7 points and 2 thinning. You know, this and cost the same as this card. Just for one more provision, you get 7 points, or you know, or you can get 0. Like it will never be used just to thin. Not in monsters anyway. We don't have a Colgrim. There aren't even any neutral card you'd want to do this with. Can anyone think of a neutral card? Yeah, Gavin. That you'd want to summon as monsters and give it Doomed and Rupture? No, Olgierd would die. Olgierd dies to Rupture. What are you talking about? This would die to Rupture. Because it says other abilities. It's just like Sigvald, it would die to Rupture. Yeah, Birna is 8 provisions for 2 thinning. I mean, you have to have the cards in your hand, though. Yeah, we've moved on from thinning. It will never be used for thinning. I'm asking, what was the reason they limited it? I'm trying to figure out what was the reason they limited it to monster units. Are there any neutral units that you would want to summon to the board ever? Only thing I can think of is Marlene, because it had Veil and has an order, but you can't use Veil, so are there any neutral cards that have a good passive that you want on the board? Regis Higher Vampire comes to mind. This guy. Assuming you had a way to boost it, like a Truffle or something. Okay, forget the Rupture part. Are there any card? If it didn't give Rupture, are there any neutrals you'd want to pull? You'd want to summon to your board? I guess Sienna would be useful if it wasn't Ruptured. This would be useful if it wasn't Ruptured. Because you can negate Rupture with a Petrie's filter, right? Or so with any kind of on-click boost. Siri Dash, if not Rupture, yeah. They didn't want you to summon it for. They were just thinking of Kelly. Siri Dash is probably the reason why it says monster units. I can't think of anything else that would be powerful. Because they didn't want you to like summon Defender and Siri Dash to a row in one turn. Because you'd like Siri Dash and then you'd leader it, like leader the Defender 3 times or once or whatever. Yes, I agree. If it was just Rupture, it's fine. And I think that's how it must have started, because the way they talked about it, like, then we thought about, well, we didn't want to be able to abuse it and cheese it. What the hell, man? It's a thing that's gonna die. If it has Doomed, what is the point of it dying? It's not gonna be... We know it's not good for thinning. Like, at 9 provisions, I might use this card in a Golden Necker deck. Because I could use it to summon, like... some Deathwish cards to the board. And click it. Or like 2 piggies I could summon behind a Defender. You know? So, to wrap things up, I see 2 uses for this new card. One, for summoning Thrive units to the board. Specifically, Kiki Queen, 3 armor. Kashi, 2 armor. And Fuka, here, I'll just type Thrive. Fuka, 1 armor. And Endrega Larva, 1 armor. You would, although it would only give you 1 larva because it's summoned and not deployed, so not even that. So, and you don't want to use it on this because this you'd lose the deploy. Just in the deck builder in the middle of it all. And we're back. So, to summarize, Lilith's Omen, I see it being useful for either Death Wish cards, something like Brewis Ritual, that's worth summoning, and having it die. So like you know, cards like Kashi or Kiki Queen that have armor, or cards like Penitent that can summon something else. So in a Death Wish deck, I see this happening for like Penitent and Brewis. I can see you summoning the 2 of them. Or later on, you know, like in like round 3 for big units that you immediately consume. Just for points when you have Last Say. Like if you have Last Say, you could summon, you know, Pugo and not Goliath. You know, Pugo and like a Harpy Egg or something. I don't know. Just consume the 2 of them for points. Yeah. Overall, though, this seems this Rupture really limits it. Doomed really limits it. And then there's 12 provisions, and they have to be without Veils, so it takes out Phantom and Foglets from consideration, and Male Conquerors. It's just, oof. All right. Yes, decent guy. I'm gonna post this review on YouTube. So, let's talk about NR. This is one I didn't really think about too deeply. I just saw that it was, you know, involved deck shuffling, etc. So let's read what it does. Deploy boosts an allied unit by 5. Whenever this unit is put back into your deck, trigger an ability of the cycle. Maiden, boost all allied units by 0. Mother, spawn a random 4P NR units on a random allied row. Crone, increase other values by 1. At the beginning of each round, start the cycle. So this whenever is separate from the deploy. This whenever just happens as long as the card exists. So if it's in your hand, and I'm guessing on the board with Decoy would also work. But mainly it's meant to be shuffled from hand, right? Just like Priestess. Whenever it's put back into the deck, trigger an ability of the cycle. The word cycle implies that it would go Maiden, Mother, Crone. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, do you want this in your hand in round 1? And then you want to play like Snowdrop or Istrid or Griffin Witcher, and you put it in your hand? Put it in your deck, and as soon as you do that, all the units on the board get boosted. So you could use it as like a reach card in round 1 if you have a bunch of volunteers or whatever units on the board. It's definitely a pincer maneuver card, right? Like if you have a bunch of units on the board in round 1, and you put this back in your deck, you shuffle it into your deck, whether through a unit or through pincer maneuverability, every allied unit currently on the board gets boosted by 1. And then, or do you pick? Oh, it says restart the cycle. That implies it goes 1, 2, 3, right? Is the 4 in Mother bold? No, Spawn is bold. 4 is not bold, but none of these numbers are bold. But like, I assume these change. Oh, Crone increases the values by 1. Okay, so Crone increases the 5 to a 6, the 0 to a 1, the 4 to a 5. And then, so, if this comes in your starting hand and you mulligan it, this goes to 6, this goes to 1, this goes to 5. Whenever this unit is put back into your deck, not a unit, Paul. Pincer Maneuver is an NR ability that lets you draw any unit. Yeah. You thought it said a unit? No, this is this card. It's just like Priestess. NR main right here, by the way. Isn't this card garbage? No. Was Priestess garbage? Traveling Priestess? I can't deal with this lack of decks. Have any mods around? Danger. Could you please make sure this is in my deck list? I don't want to delete the alchemy deck, it's fine. Does reset the cycle mean reset all numbers? No. It just means go back to it. Think of it like this. It's 1, 2, 3. Maiden in 1, Cronus 2. So, the first time you mulligan it, it boosts all allied units. The second time you mulligan it, it spawns... Well, not mulligan it. I'm sorry, not mulligan. The first time... I mean... Yeah, actually, the first time you mulligan it, it boosts all allied units by 0. It just so happens if you do it at the beginning of the game... Or sorry. It just so happens that if you're... Not the first time you put it back in the deck. If that time is a mulligan, then the first thing doesn't do anything, but that's okay because you're just building carryover. Like, so you're dealt 10 cards, right? And this is, let's say this is one of them. You mulligan it. This has been triggered. It boosts all allied units by 0. You have no allied units, and this was 0 anyway, so who cares? So you absolutely want to send this to your deck at least once, right, at the start. Because like, there's 0 reason to not do that. So if it's in your starting hand, just mulligan it. Just mulligan it. Mother, and then spawn a random... I mean, obviously there's exceptions. For now, let's just say you mulligan. Then the next time you draw it, and then you put it back to your deck, it spawns a unit in a random row. It's a 4 provision unit. Then it goes to Crone. So then the next time after that, you shuffle it back into your deck. It triggers Crone, which then changes the 0 to a 1 and the 4 to a 5. So the 4th time you shuffle it, now it boosts all allied units by 0. By 1, sorry. In theory, yes, mulligan. Are they less than pieces? I don't think so. So imagine you have like Istrid, Snowdrop, and Griffin Witchers, right? No, the way I see this happening is you thin your deck to one card, and you play the Kerceran location, you play Griffin, right? Like you make a deck that thins to one, and then in round 3, you stick it in your deck, you draw it. You stick it in your deck, you draw it. You stick it in your deck, you draw it. You stick it every time. Every 3 times you do that, all your units get boosted. Just thin to one card. I mean, you already do that. It's not hard for NR to thin to one card. Like that Traveling Priestess deck thin to 2. Because like Pincer Maneuver has, you can take any right? Like you can draw any NR card. So you have immediate and guaranteed access to cards like Istrid and Mutagenerator, and then you have things like Envoy, right? And you would play this in the same deck as Traveling Priestess. Where are the Griffin Witchers? Griffin Witcher Mentors. Play the location, I think. I don't think you need the Talos, actually. What else did they play? We just talked about the MO reveal. It seems very expensive. Do you want to hop on Discord? We can talk about all the other cards. This is the deck I built. Yeah, let me do that. Bonus, guys, we get Sir Sheath. If you don't know Sheath, Sheath is a pro player from Team Elder Blood. One of the best players I've had the pleasure of getting coached by. So he's going to hop on Discord and we're going to talk about the new cards. Continues now as Mulligan target over Priestess. Boost all allied units by 1.
Hey Mosh.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So you and I can talk about the monster card later since we just spent like an hour and a half on it. But I was looking at this, and you can look at the deck and that I made for monsters, and then you can
at first glance, this seems like a priestess card, I guess. I actually haven't even.
Yeah, so I was explaining to chat the way this works is, again, this is just from me reading it. I haven't tested on the PTR or anything. Every time you shuffle into the deck, so the first time it goes Maiden, the second time it goes Mother, the third time it goes Crone. When you hit Crone, it changes this 0 to a 1 and this 4 to a 5. And this 5 to a 6.
So first shuffle is basically 0 points, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you
random 4 provision is interesting. How much can you high roll here?
Yeah, so let's look at the NR 4 provision units. So you could get like a Banard or Aretuza, but it could be on the wrong row. Scytheman, no. Siege support could be good. Trident infantry could be okay. Revenant could be okay.
The 4/7 that knight that if you summon becomes +3.
No, it's summoned, right? Not spawned.
Oh, okay, it's spawn. Okay.
Yeah. So, like the good one will probably be Carrick Marine if you're Devotion. Renade that Knight if you get it on the range row. This if you get, I mean,
not very good basically. What I'm seeing.
Yeah. You don't want the 4P. What about 5P? 5P is much better because you get cards like Reaver Scouts or potentially Knight Errant. Reinforced Ballista would be a good role potentially.
So like, I think the question becomes how much value we can actually get. Like how, like it's not just shuffling inside the deck, right? We have to send it back, which is a little awkward.
Send it from your hand. It has to. The wording says this whenever this unit is put back into your deck.
Yeah, now, like putting back is not that easy, right?
Yeah, but I was also thinking you could play it and then decoy it.
Okay, I mean, sure, I guess.
Well, it doesn't say from your hand to your deck, right? It just says when it's put back into your deck. So decoy also works. But yes.
Go
ahead.
So you have the 6 provision card that sends back stuff. You have 2 leader charges. You have.
You would run Radovid in this deck. Absolutely, right?
Okay, Radovid. That's, let's say 4, 5 from using the.
So I've put
stratagem.
Istrid. I've put Kercerin. I put Snowdrop in here. I put Envoys.
Right? Okay, Mentors. Yeah. Okay. With Envoy and Mentor, this seems a bit memey, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, didn't people run Envoy and Mentor in Traveling Priestess deck?
Yeah, but you need Envoy and Mentor in the same. I mean, you really need to get this to work, right? Like.
So, you know how the Traveling Priestess deck used to thin to 2 and then play Roche for the Tridam?
And the other problem would be if you are wasting Mentors on this card, then your Priestess is not becoming as good, right?
Yeah, so they kind of compete with each other for shuffle backs, right?
Yeah, so maybe you need something else, like it has to be either Priestess or this.
Okay, so I took out the Priestesses.
Frigate's costly. I mean, why do we have frigates?
But I mean, the payoff for this has to be boost all allied units.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Otherwise, why play this?
No, that's correct.
And I'm guessing Bronze Allied Soldier. Are there any soldiers that would make sense? Do Arbalists make sense?
I mean, you're definitely playing the one, the 5-cost one that tints, right? The Siege Masters.
Are you? Oh yeah, you are. So that means you need siege units.
Frigate is a siege unit already, I think. But
is
yeah,
that enough?
A couple more. No, I mean, no, of course not. Yeah.
The 6P engine. Which card, Polika? What's the name? Hey, baby. Yep, it is Sheath. The Sheath. Who knows?
I guess you can swarm with Reavers if you really want to, but that's a bit.
That seems like you'd overswarm, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Like you could put Reavers and Scouts in this, but I guess we don't need to do it. What do people usually play with Meave? Because if you got something to boost all allied units,
So other boosting payoffs would be the 4 mana, not mana, the 4 cost that
PFI?
boosts itself by a number of cards in a row.
oh,
Sightman, yeah.
Scytheman. Okay. What about Revenants? Did you run those?
If you're going Revenants, you have to like completely take it into a different direction. I
Okay,
think like
never mind then.
but we do need a little bit more like okay, the Swarm package wins, let's say round 3 or something. We need, I think, a more of a siege package to win something else. Like Taller doesn't make sense, right? Taller doesn't put back anything.
So, right. My idea was, if you thin the deck, you're much more likely to draw. This is a 14 provision card, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say it's this is the Renfree is the card we're talking about.
Okay.
I guess. So my thinking was, well, maybe yeah, there's not a lot of choices here.
So if you're playing something like Roche, are you planning to play it later on, or is it gonna be early enough to thin?
I think early enough to thin.
Because if you do it early enough to thin and you hit the 14 provision card, then you're kind of screwed, right?
Well, you want it in your hand, right? Because you have Pincer. If it's not in your hand, if it doesn't, here, I'll just put Siege here instead.
I mean,
if this thing is not in
if
your,
you're using Pincer to get it in your hand, you're definitely sending it back.
yeah. So
right.
play Pincer, or you use Pincer, you play Roche, and then
Wait, you have to put it back before you can play Roche, right?
no, you want it in your hand when you play Roche, so that Roche doesn't accidentally play this.
No, I'm saying if you use Pincer, you have to put it back after bringing it in hand, and then you can play Roche. You can't like, I'll take it from Pincer, then play Roche, and then I can send it back.
Yeah, you need to put
If you're
something else
using
back
2
if you're drawing
charges to
it.
do that, that's a waste, right?
Oh, because Pincer first draws a card, then puts it back. Right. So you would want to put it back in the same turn that you draw it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, just makes some sense, I guess.
So Taller probably doesn't make the most.
Yeah, Taller makes sense.
It's expensive anyway. Because Taller was for Priestess was for, an optional in case you got like Vilgefortz or something. And then
Yeah, I just don't think Priestess is the way here.
I don't have Priestess at all. You mean Pincer?
No, Pincer's fine. I mean, without Pincer, there's no shot this deck works.
Yeah.
There's no shot.
And you would want Curse Scroll, I assume.
Yeah. Question will become like, can we win round 1? Are we gonna lose uneven and stuff like that?
Is the artifact, is the location worth it?
I think the location is good enough, right?
The booster unit part doesn't really matter, right?
I mean, it's still points. Points is
three
always
but
good.
it's not critical. The reason I'm asking is, why wouldn't this be a Renfree deck where you spawn stratagem?
I mean, you could. I think Renfree is actually better, and Renfree might actually help you draw stuff, whatever. Like,
yeah, you could use Sloth, which means you would you run Rune Mage too?
oh, so we have to Renfree late, right? We have to Radovid it first.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
And use all the
I mean,
charges and then Renfree.
Yeah, so that is consideration. Yeah, I also don't like Roche here. Roche actually doesn't make sense. No, not that one. Yeah.
Is there anything else that thins in NR?
Do we need more thinning? I don't think so. I don't think we need to go to like thin to 0 or something. Like Priestess.
I think I was thinking about it like Albrecht. Have you played?
I've seen it being played. I know, but
yeah, it was like with Roderick, but there's no Roderick in NR.
Yeah, and
but with Snowdrop, like I was just thinking, if you thin a bunch, like Snowdrop, drawing it, putting it back, Istria drawing it, putting it back, Pinsir drawing it, like if you only have like 2 or 3 cards in the deck, you're guaranteed to get it every time these other cards are played, right? These mentors and other things.
Like the question becomes, how many times do you need to shuffle it to make it worth it? All this trouble, like at least 2 rounds, right? 3 times, then 3 times.
Yeah, because well, and this number also goes up. So let's say you shuffle it back 4 times. The first time, nothing. The second time you get a 4P card. Who cares? The third time you get nothing. The fourth, because all it does is just upgrades the card. Like you don't get any.
Oh yeah, so either 4 or 7. Those are the numbers we need to hit, right?
Well, 5 is still better than 4, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
so
technically. I mean, I don't think 5 is game winning. Maybe in a short round.
Technically, you need either 3 or 6, right? Because if you hit 3, then like if you trigger it 3 times, you can then play it, and it will boost by 6, and it will.
Like 6 is not worth it without 7 because just like having one more on deploy point is
but if
not enough.
But if you run out at 3 or 6, and you don't have any more ways to get it back, if you shuffle it, boosting all allied units versus playing it for 3 plus like 7. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so all this has to be done in round 1 and 2. So like you can't go into. I guess you can.
So long round 3 could work too.
Yeah.
Would you play Sunset in a deck like this?
We're already down permissions.
Yeah.
I don't think you fit it. Ideally, I would, I guess. So, maybe we can even just remove the Rune Mage and say YOLO the Renfri. You know?
Okay.
I just don't think
Yeah.
the Rune
What else would you play in this? I mean, you want NR cards. Oh, right. Well, you have Renfri, so you want Renfri's gang.
Yeah,
we already have
that's
Roach and
good.
Knickers to help us win round 1.
Let's see the 7, 8, 9 provision group. What's there in NR? All these seem pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Solo.
No. No. The boost all soldier thing can work, maybe, depending on.
Yeah, we have frigates, so.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
It's
it
better
might
than
be
Neve.
overkill because we already have payoffs.
True. Okay, what about 8s?
It's so one option is always either the thinning card or the Radovid's on a Foltest Sprite, right?
What's that, sorry?
Foltest Sprite, it
Yeah.
actually controls the board a bit,
Yeah.
right?
And you have
And
soldiers
maybe we
for it, so.
cut one Scytheman. I think because I don't think we can swarm
Yep.
so much that we can.
Hey, Lemon. How's it going? You're welcome to jump on Discord too if you want. It's just me and Sheet talking about the new decks. The new cards.
Hey, Lemon.
It's a party.
And Visigoth would have been good if it still had its zeal. It doesn't. Like early, like back, I think 2 years back, we used to have a Swarm in our deck where the finisher was Visigoth.
Mm. Boosted out. Yeah, I mean, it's a Swarm payoff card.
Yeah, it's just without zeal, it's just bad.
Oh, order. Oh, gross. Okay. You need like Petrie's filter
Yeah.
for it or something. And it's not an NR card.
Yeah, at this stage, I think we just put tech cards or something. Like the remaining 15 provisions just has to be flexible, I think.
Well, we have 3. We need 3 things and 5. I mean,
Yeah, so like a lock or something, maybe. I don't know.
Marguerite. But that means we need a 4 and a 5.
Like we are We're relying so hard on swarming on these frigates, and if they don't work, we are kind of screwed.
Is there a better thing? Is there instead of frigates? We
So
can
an
run like
easy way
PFI
to
and
swarm,
stuff.
ideal, probably not good, but an easy way to swarm is that neutral card that spawns cows, right?
Yeah, he's expensive. Would we ever run Ring of Favor in a deck like? No, it's Renfrey.
No.
Okay, so what about PFI?
Yeah, PFI. So maybe we can have a Draug alternate win con, right?
With what provisions? We have 13 provisions and 2 cards.
So like we can remove Renfrey because Renfrey just seems. I mean, we can remove it just, I guess. Put in Draug. Draug works with both the frigate spawns and the PFI.
Okay, so put the frigates back in.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Done. The problem is the row that frigate spawn stuff in, the frigate is itself in, and the frigate doesn't get changed, right?
That's fine. I mean,
One spot less, okay.
one spawn less. Who cares?
So then, if you're playing Draug, do you also want Revenants?
Not really, right?
Because Draug gets you Revenants.
Yeah, like Draug has his board space issue.
Curse Knight?
So like stuff like Curse Knight would depend on the meta, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, right now it's used in a bunch of decks. Do we have anything that boosts to try them infantry?
I don't think Tridem makes sense. We can have the move card if needed. The one
Yeah.
that moves something
Siege.
for a space.
Matter. Okay, so we just have 12 provisions left. Sorry.
Okay, so what do we have in high end?
Have you seen this card, Boholt?
Yeah, I have. I mean, how reliable is it? Like I saw
Whenever
it in
you spawn a
reverse.
soldier, so every time you click frigates, he goes up by 2. This becomes a 4-point a turn engine if you have frigates. But
We could do that, yeah. Like, because how much threat are we putting on the board? That this will not get answered.
well, presumably, obviously there's frigates, there's Istrits,
Snowdrop.
Snowdrop, Foltest Pride,
Foltest
Radovid.
Pride. There is a good bit, I guess. Yeah. I think we could play it. Let's see how it works. It also works with, I think, Draug.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, we have to see. Okay.
It's a funny deck. We'll see how it works.
Technically, I could play this right now on the ladder because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siege engines, and I use siege scenario.
Yeah. I mean, you could, I guess. NG is the problem. I mean, NG needs to get nerfed.
I'll just play it with instead of PFI, I'll just put like 2 traveling priestess in there for now.
Yeah.
Because the deck is the mechanics are the same.
Hmm.
You just shuffle a card, whatever, or sorry, 1 priestess and 1 tridom or something.
Then probably remove the movement. Actually, no. You have Draug, so it's fine. Yeah.
Don't remove the what? Sorry.
I was saying the siege ladder maybe, but no, we have Draug.
Yeah,
so
siege
there
ladder is
might
even
be
good
those
with
space.
siege because it spawns the battering ram. You can move. Okay. It's gonna be a fun night while we're waiting for Masters to start. You think the 1-2 cards? Yeah, Lemon. That's what I was trying at first, so that's why I had a Thaler. I was running. I was thinking about, I have obviously Istra and stuff, but I had Roach and Knickers. We had Siege Masters, Siege Supports. Sorry, Siege Masters.
Like it does. It's so awkward if you like wait till the last moment to use all your mentors, right? Because at that point you'll probably not have a board or something.
Yeah.
Like the way Priestess worked, you went to a short round 3, you had a couple of cards, you just played your mentors. And that works with Priestess, but this card needs a board.
Yeah, because the payoff is boost all allied units. So this is not a short round like 3-card round card. That means winning round 1 is a lot more important.
Yep.
Okay. So 14 provisions. This seems expensive.
Yeah, I think this card is weaker than the remaining ones.
I think, at least with the cards we currently like, because we're getting more than 1 card per faction. We know that.
Getting 2, I think, just 2.
Okay, so 1. Okay. How come they didn't reveal any syndicate cards today? That was weird. Okay. So with the current cards, like Frigate gives you a swarm. But like once we add Istrid, Snowdrop, Trist Butterflies,
so
there's not
dedicated
really
swarm is. So, yeah.
I mean, we can't
like
fit
dedicated swarm is Frigate, any siege engine because it will pull the 2 cards and the PFI, right?
Yeah. This Trident.
And then we always have the natural swarm with playing cards through the round. That's always there, and the new card will itself spawn some cards occasionally. So there's that.
Have you seen this one, Kenneth and Gar?
Yeah, this is it good? Like I haven't seen it on ladder.
Neither have I. I haven't tried. It got buffed this patch. I think they reduced the provision cost from like 9 to 7 or something.
Might be okay.
Destroy a unit with 2 power. Whenever you spawn a soldier, increase the limit by 1. And this guy also spawns a soldier. What's the target for this? We don't have any good soldiers to. Because remember, this Trident's not going to be in the deck.
So it can work after playing draw, because you're spawning.
Are the Revenant soldiers?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, because
Both might be too greedy, but for day 1, I think it might. It'll probably get replaced with some control later on.
Yeah. I mean, Reavers are also units that swarm.
Yeah, I told you that Reavers is one definite way of going about this.
But if you do Reavers, you want to do Garrison, for sure, because
the problem is the Reavers and this new card, their packages are not very.
Yeah.
I'm not a judge or juror, but I can.
Hey, T Monkey, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate it.
Sell anybody out to buy his future.
Kenneth is better than Behold.
Yeah, Kenneth might be better.
I mean, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
What would we do with extra provisions? We have 9.
You could put a random heat.
We could put Neve in there.
You could. Like, we have. So if we
sorry, we don't. I took out location when we switched this to.
Yeah, that might be better. Because if we swarm, I think we are winning. Because we have multiple swarm payoffs. So I don't think we need more swarm payoffs.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a good 5P that we want?
Really? So I think short round has to be double PFI and this card for the final swarm boost.
I'm still not sold on these like frigates. But
yeah, but I mean, what do you replace them
Let's put a ranger in. That can help you win round 1. Right?
So if we did go the reverse route, what do we need to put in? We need to put 2 reavers and
2 scouts.
2 scouts, sure.
I think you'd have to get rid of the siege masters.
Okay, then just let's remove the Fortress Pride.
You'd want Itaran, right?
I don't think so. Because we are only going reverse 1 round here.
Yeah, but without Itaran, you can't fill up the row. Without...
Do you want to fill up the row?
I mean, more reavers is
We
better.
don't want the entire package, right? Because we can't fit everything. We want half the package. The question is which half? Do we want like some of the locations? Or do we want Iteran?
I guess Garrison is flexible because it can give you scouts or
Yeah.
and it can also boost. But now we're like really low on.
Yeah, that's I think no. Then we have to cut the Care 7 maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, Garrison is not that good. Okay.
So
We
we're
still
on
want
the-
reinforcements. Because I think
Yeah,
reinforcements can make another Reaper Hunter, Scout, Mentor, like it's just very flexible.
It's now 3-4 Ps, I guess.
This is teleport.
Nah.
Hello
no
there.
shot. Good.
It does reset the order of like the Reaver Scout.
This deck is already so combo heavy, I don't think we need more cards that do not.
What about Spring Equinox?
These cards look so bad. Oh, where are the units? We all looking.
Sorry.
We could play the the siege tower, right? It's a good engine, I think.
I don't see Reaver players, but I guess it's a card you.
Yeah, I mean,
put people on
Reaver
the
players would like to play none of these cards.
You
What else?
you need some Purify, don't you?
Yeah, like I think 1 Purify. Maybe we can cut 1 siege tower for Squirrel if we need it. I don't know. No. Why that?
Because that's what people run with Reavers.
Yeah, like all in reverse maybe, but not with this.
I'm not
So
in
for
charge or jury,
carryover,
but I
we
can
have
tell you this.
Triss on the
He
new
won't
card.
sell
That's like
anybody out
+3
to buy his
carryover. on
Does
the
future.
Dog
new
make
card.
any sense anymore?
And that, my friends, is called
really, right?
integrity.
Okay, let's think about this. If you
Because you don't want to transform the hunters, the Reavers. You lose all the points they're getting.
well,
Thank you so much, Dalman. Thank
yeah,
you.
maybe you're right.
Hey, Dawson. Everyone. I feel like this card, we need to see. I think we need to see the other cards. I don't think by itself it's gonna work very well.
I don't think the other card is gonna support this. It will be a different archetype support.
Really?
I mean, that's how it has always been, right? So when they do these 14 cards,
No, because the last drop we got Boholt, Kenneth and Gar, Reaver Scout, Reaver Hunter. All
No.
four were the same.
The last drop was a proper mini expansion, but they said they'll have these small drops where every card is a legendary, right? Which is this one.
Oh, is that
So
what
where
it is?
every legendary supports a different archetype.
Oh.
I mean, that's how we had the previous ones, right?
Well, we got what here? Let me just.
So we got Henselt in that one, right? the last time we have had this.
Card set. Cursed Toad. And then all factions. So, look, we got a bunch of Harmony support in one of them.
Not these, the ones before this.
We got the neutrals one, like the Golden Necker, etc. Let me see if I
The
can...
one prior to that.
Monsters got Thrive.
No, not in this set.
So not the
Oh.
Cursed Toad set?
Yeah, the previous one.
That was Price of Power.
So we had that. Okay, we had that mini expansion where we got Henselt and
8 Arrakis
Nilfgaard got
Queen and...
Calveet.
Yeah. So those are not considered part of...
Anything, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, let me go to 10. And G, make sure I don't have any weird filters. Okay.
Yeah, so we need. Yeah, it's not part of anything.
Oh, Calveet's
Yes,
just part
here.
of the general. Okay, weird.
Yeah.
Oh. It's part of the... Calveet's part of the base set?
No, it's one of those separate 12 card drops.
Yeah,
This
but
one.
in the deck, you can't see me mouse over the filter, but in the card sets section, it's under the base.
Yeah,
set.
like so this set has no name, right? It's not part of some dedicated expansion.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so does that mean that like Henselt is also here? No.
No, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
higher provision, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Henselt is there. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this is like one of those drops.
Yeah, yeah.
Some two card drops were added to base set before this year, but we actually go. Milva is another one like that, right? I assume Milva is
Yep.
also base set. Yeah. Okay. Saskia was the same thing. So this is like
Yeah.
that. They're not going to be multiple cards for the same archetype. Okay.
I don't think so.
So either way, I think, and she's a relict. That's funny.
I don't know why she's a relic.
Lore reasons, I guess.
I guess.
Okay. So this card, it seems like, is pretty expensive. Swarm payoff. Like, Mobilization is a swarm deck, but Mobilization does not work with Shuffle. And Pincer is a Shuffle deck.
It has to have been.
And
This has
but
to-
what is the... Aside from Shuffling, what do Pincer decks do? Currently in the meta, there's like a Mutagenerator deck that uses Pincer. And just builds a lot of carryover and plays Erland.
I mean, Pincer can do anything, right? It's just a value consistent leader. The question just becomes how much of the deck do you have to dedicate towards
Yeah.
this particular card?
When Priestess came out, Stockpile was already good. That's why that became the complementary package. Right now, nobody's playing Siege because it's all the armor everywhere, and Skellige is very strong and kills your engines. So people are not playing like a lot of engine decks, aside from things like Reavers, which have some resilience.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing what this is for yet. But at least we
Maybe in
understand
the
how
next expansion, 3 months from now, we'll get something.
could be, yeah. So let's talk about Skellige.
This card is broken, man. This card is so broken.
So let's walk through what it does first for people who haven't seen it yet, and then we'll talk about like how it would be used. So this card has 2 forms, right? It's an evolve card. It starts as Tear Slayer of Ingvar. It's doomed because they don't want you to Sigdrifa it, I guess, or Lipia.
All
They don't want you to
cards
lip
are doomed, I
Lipia.
think.
But you can still purify it. So whatever.
Yeah.
This is 100% going to get Lippy. You give them a 14 provision card, they're going to Lippy it. Damage an enemy unit by the difference between its base and current power. What does that mean? If the enemy had a Calvi and boosted it to 16, this deploy would kill it. If they boosted it to 15, this deploy would do 7 damage to it. If they played a Cal
Don't
beat
kill it.
and you damaged it by 4, this deploy would kill it. So it would come down as a 13. So it seems like if it's boosted, it's a lot better against boosted units. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, not a lot of cards have that high base power. On an
The
Arniel...
first form is just for fun. It's pointless.
Yeah. So, this is a tall punish. Morkvarg attacks up until it's red. This can be... It's like a Becker's, almost.
Yeah.
Not quite. It's like half as much as Becker's damage, but it also comes with a 9 body. So that's...
The big thing is you can't even bleed this out. Like, it's so good on the bleed. Because it plays for like 12, 14 on deploy, right? You slam it in a bleed, no one cares.
Yeah, and most importantly, Deathblow gain resilience. So this is bigger than a Seer Nova, smaller than a She Who Knows, smaller than a Shoot, but 9 power resilience on the board.
Like, that can alone win games, and now it will evolve.
Yeah, so if you don't end up using it in round 1, right, it becomes tier master of it.
You can use it in round 1, but you have to win the round. Then it will evolve next round, and you can just duo them.
Wait, you said...
Oh.
No.
Wait, no.
No.
Okay, yeah. It has to be in hand or deck. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah. It doesn't... There are no evolve cards that evolve on the board. All evolve cards evolve in hand or deck. Veterans boost even when in the graveyard, but nothing evolves in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can either play it round 1 to gain resilience into round 2. So you cannot, at least this form. Or in round 2, you can play it to move a Skellige unit, a bronze Skellige, from your graveyard to your hand. So you take something that has a good deploy, bronze Skellige unit. So a Highland Warlord? Or...
You just play the Greatsword, right?
You don't want to play the Greatsword, you'd rather summon
No, I mean, you put the Greatsword in the graveyard round 1, then this is on deploy 19 point.
No. Move a bronze Skellige unit from your graveyard to your hand.
Okay, Greatsword damages and stuff, so maybe not the best, but like some 8-point card.
What you
move it to your hand.
Just think of it like Necromancy, but you don't have to play it that turn. It just moves it from the graveyard to your hand. So if you have something in the graveyard that you want to play, like Invader or a Brockvar Warrior, right?
Yeah.
You just take it out of the graveyard, puts it in your hand. Doesn't give it Doom. So unlike War of Clans or Necromancy or Freya's or whatever, it says Skellige unit, not just warriors. This works on anything. So you can use it on Messengers of the Sea. You can use it on Drakkar Priest. You can use it on whatever.
Ideally, something with high base power. Yeah.
Yes. And then it says, the first time a bronze unit leaves your graveyard, each allied turn boosted by its base power. So, but this has to be on the board. This card has to be on the board and can be locked, right?
No, so so it's deploy. The card you move into your hand using deploy does get boosted.
So you use this on, let's look at some, this is any unit, right?
Any bronze. Skellige. Just look at the Invader, right? The veteran card.
Yeah, but I was thinking of golds. Like, does Skellige have anything that has like an order that summons a card from the... Like, for example, if you have
I mean, you can res Utah with Sigdriva, I guess. It's 24 points.
Yeah, but on the turn that you play it, before it can be locked. Like, let's say you have a Demon Warship on the board, and you also
so
have
the
a
turn that you play it, it has a deploy, and the deployed card gets boosted, and it can only boost once per turn. So there's no point in doing anything else that turn. Right?
Or you have to discard a card.
I mean, you have to discard a card, but the card that you put back in your hand, let's say it's an 8-point card in the graveyard, in your hand it is now 16 points.
Yeah, no, I get that. I was just thinking of, if instead of it coming, because it says the first time a bronze unit leaves your graveyard each ally turn. Oh, but as soon as you deploy it,
it's done.
Yeah, it triggers the first, because, okay. So, move a bronze Skellige. So, really, you want to use this on invaders.
Yeah.
Let me change it. Okay. So, this is meant for invaders. There you go. Because these, in round 3, they have 8 power. Right? So, in round 2 or 3, like, this comes out as a 9 plus 14 or 16.
Yeah. No, I mean...
Yeah.
On deploy, it's 9 plus 8. 17. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. 8 of which is carryover, though. So you in round 2, you can play this, and then it gives you...
If you're discarding something, that card has to be worth less than the card you're bringing back.
Well, you can discard a Skirmisher.
Oh, yeah. True. Okay.
Or Morkvarg or something.
That makes sense,
yeah.
It's 21 on average. Deploy.
Yeah. But then after that, every time a bronze leaves your graveyard. So when you play Herald, when you play Fukusia, when you play War of Clans, when you play Freyas, holy shit.
Yeah, you have to kill this on site.
This would play for like 100 points.
Easily, yeah. It's so broke.
If we discarded a Skirmisher, does it boost it? No. It only boosts stuff that leave the... Oh.
Yeah. The Skirmisher never goes to the graveyard, does it? I don't know.
It does. The Skirmisher goes to the graveyard, but the thing is, when you deploy it, move a bronze unit from your graveyard to your hand, that's the card that gets boosted. So then, if you discard Skirmisher with this, it doesn't get boosted. If you discard a Skirmisher with Burna or Coral, it does get boosted.
Yeah.
What if you have Iced on the board? Oh my god. Oh my god. You have Iced on the board, okay? It survived, right? And it's got one counter on it. Then you play Coral, and use Coral to discard a Jutta.
Or just use Leader, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The short round is so broken with this.
How much? So let's say you play this, and then you play Ice and Leader. The Jutta will come down as a 24.
The Jutta doesn't work. Yeah.
Oh, turn only boost bronzes. Okay. Well, a great sword then. Then a fucking great sword. Who cares? Instead of Jutta, you just run great sword. So Iced. If Ice survives, and you move...
I mean, more likely this will survive. So you play this first, and then Ice.
Yeah, You play this, then you play Iced. You leader the Jutta. No, you don't leader Jutta. You leader a Great Sword.
Yeah.
And it comes on the board as a 20. The next turn, you play Darren, and you move another Great Sword to the graveyard.
Another 20. Wait.
Yeah, another 20. No. So Iced is 6. No.
It won't bring
20,
back the...
Sorry, 6 plus 30, because it's 10 damage. Right? So you play this for 9.
Ice counter has to be played.
9 plus like 16 because you did it on an invader, right? So that's this comes down as a 25. The invader's in your hand. So your last 4 cards, this will come down as a 25. Sorry, so this will come as a 9 plus 6 as a 17. The Ice will then play as for 36 on the first turn, and if it doesn't die, you can play a Darren for 25. So you're, and then you play the invader for the 16. So 9, 16, 36, 25.
Yeah.
You can get 86 points in a 4-card round. If you have
stuff like Freya's blessing and all that.
Yeah, in a longer round you can, because this is like if this thing lives, whatever, it's insane. Is there any way to? Is the graveyard thing of Ice devotion only? Yeah,
it's fine. Ice is a good payoff for devotion anyway, so you're fine.
Are there other Bronze Skellige units that you want to play more than once?
Oh, we can check.
So like have some sort of like where the play rather than summon is a benefit.
I mean, yeah.
Just Highland Warlord is the main one I think of right now.
Yeah, even the bear is fine. Any of the cards in the first row is great, right? Don't care.
Yeah, like Bear Witcher would go to 16. It becomes a 16 for 5. Or I mean, the other card plays for 17 for 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd be playing Bran for sure. Because invaders and raiders are just natural fits for this card.
Yeah, like this deck building would be easy enough, I think. Like,
yeah, we're not gonna go through it.
Yeah.
Oh. It would be Blaze of Glory, right? Because Ice is so good with it, or no?
I think, I mean, if you want to play Ice, then yeah. But this card is so good, you can put it in every deck. It's almost like Fukusia, in my opinion.
Yeah, same cost too. Would you want to always run discard package with it? Like for skirmish, like you can discard. Like
run a small package. You don't even need to go full Coral Burnout. You might not as well.
You would just run like skirmishers and Murkwar and Darren or something.
You could, yeah, the 4P, the card that discards something.
Scalds.
Yeah, Scalds.
This triggers when something leaves the graveyard. So you want Rezzers. When you play it, you just want a discard target. But the discard target can be a great sword. It's fine because then you're going to get it out of the graveyard using some other method. And it's going to boost by attack.
You play stuff like War of Clans, I think, and other stuff.
Would you ever play Ice with Patchstyle of Fury and not Blaze of Glory?
No. No.
What would you cut in a warrior deck? Everything.
Anything.
It doesn't matter. Cut Morkvar, cut Turgvi, cut. Cut Bran and just play Great Swords. Like, it doesn't. You cut whatever you want.
Yeah, this is the most important card.
Oh my god. I mean, that's just like the round 2 and 3 version. And it doesn't even require devotion for the record.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they printed this.
It has an insane floor. And a stupid
The fact
insane
that
ceiling.
it's equally good in the short and the long run is insane.
It checks every box. It can kill an enemy unit. It's tall punish. You can use it like... No one's going to be playing
It
Knights.
doesn't even have the Fukusia downside that you can't slam it round 1.
Yeah, because it gives you resilience. Yeah, no one is gonna say warriors are a red coin deck anymore. I mean, they'll still be really good, but then it's not like, oh, warriors just abuse them from when they get blue coin. No, we'll just
Yeah, like if you bleed them, not bleed them, but push them deep into round 1, and then they slam this, they win round 1, and you're in a short round 2 with 9 points down, you're doomed.
yeah, and they'll just play like 4P bronzes, and you'll never get your card back.
Yep. You just get too old. I mean, it's no.
Just hope they don't draw it. But it's a warrior. They can Blood Eagle this. It's not even an artifact.
It's just that you have to hold removal for this all the time. Like you can't use it on something else.
I mean, so your opponent. Well, your opponent has to draw the removal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But you can tutor this. What can remove a 9? Like, the things that remove a 9 are like, you know, Geralt of Rivia, Igni,
Yeah, Heatwave and stuff.
like,
Yeah.
not even Igni, like Heatwave and just massive stuff. And most of those are specials, and most of them require one Neuromancy or...
The only silver lining here is that the deck that it goes into is a point slam deck, so it doesn't really have any high value target. So this always it's the removal, most likely.
Yeah, but you can make a Warriors deck with Ulula and...
Yeah,
you know...
I guess, yeah.
Harold, and like you can add high value targets if you're running this, because you're fine if they remove those, because now that's gone. I mean, NG will lock it. Like, everyone will need a lock.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's still even if it gets locked, the resilience is there. That's not removed. So everyone will need either like a heat wave. So this will have doomed and resilience. You can Teshem with that.
That's actually good, yeah. That's pretty good.
Will-O-the-Wisp also takes care of it. It's just 5p.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. You can just point slam for 21 in round 3. Like, having to play a heat wave on something that has deployed for 21 and you only get to remove 9, it's terrible.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, summon 2 monster units without Veil from an allied row, and then kill them and give them Doom so you never get them again.
It has all the cheese options. Like, it's not even good. It's just some nonsense cheese stuff, I think.
Well, no, you can't cheese because it's Doomed and Rupture.
I mean, yeah, if you... Well, it depends, right?
I'll wait.
can
I
pull
already know.
Gurney
I already know the
if you-
only use cases of this because I spent an hour and a half on this card. But I'll wait.
Oh, okay.
Come up with a combo. Name 2 cards that you summon with this.
If you have enough points on the row, you can always pull Gurney, right? The Gurney will transform.
That's one.
You can pull Deathwish stuff.
Like what? Name a card. You pull an
I don't
egg, a harpy egg, and it kills itself, and so you get a Gurney and a 6-pointer.
You could pull Mamuna, right? A 2-point rupture is whatever.
Yeah,
Who
Gurney
cares?
and Mamuna is one use case.
Yeah, Morntard. That's it.
It's not. No, Morntart is not it. Because the defender will go down to 3 power, right? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Morntart isn't that Morntart isn't good. It's that the rest of the deck isn't good. So in order for Morntart to give you value, you have to have gotten a whole bunch of like Swarm going, purified them all, so that you can, Morntart them later. And
It's not
you
even
have to have
good on
last
Death
say,
Wish.
and like it's not, no. And like you have to make sure your defender and your Morntart are in deck. They have to not brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Plus,
terrible on Magic.
Petrie's filter is better than this, and it's 5 provisions.
Yeah.
You just play the filter, then you play the Morntart, and you win. You can tutor the Morntart. You can have the Morntart in your hand. It doesn't matter. And for Gurney and Mamuna, Quacks is better. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's this for. Maybe something in the future.
So
Copian.
you figured out one use case, which is Gurney Mamuna. It can work in a relic deck potentially. Quacks can also work, but like you can have Quacks in a deck and Gurney and Mamuna, with relics and she who knows, and it all like you can make it happen, and like ADC and Decree or something like that, right? Not even ADC. You just Decree, Quacks, she who knows, Gurney, Mamuna with relic package. That's a deck.
Yeah.
The other use case is Kashi and or Kiki Queen, because those guys have 3 and 4 armor, and if they take damage, it makes it easier to proc their Thrive. So you could summon, in theory, a Fuka and a Kiki Queen, and then you click your cat, and they both thrive, right? Or a Kashi and a Kiki Queen, and you click your cat. So if you have cat on the board, maybe with a defender, maybe without, maybe with a row of insects, maybe without, like you could summon that.
Oh, I guess it is consistency in some way. It's terrible.
Yeah, but it does give them doom, so you can't Sabbath them out. So you can't use this in round 1 and then use them again in round 3. So, I mean, it's fine, but it's 12 provisions. Like, I was working on making decks, and it is suffocating. Because also, note that it's not an organic card.
I can't even tutor this. Oh, God. Yeah.
So
It is a much worse
compare
thing.
this with Siggy Mastermind, which has a 4 body, right? Lets you play the cards, not summon, play the cards. Triggers Tribute, right? So you can play with King of Beggars and get King of Beggars out too, all at the same time. In round 2, you can thin by 3, you can play Drill and Collusion for a gajillion points and get a 4 body. Like, then compare that to this. You can't get, like, they use the example of She-Troll. They were like, She-Troll is a good card, but it has to, sit on the board and get a lot of value. Well, maybe with something like this, you can pull it out and then get value immediately. What? The only way you'd use it with Deathwish cards is if you have a bunch of Consume sitting on the board. And if you have a bunch of Consume sitting on the board in a Deathwish deck, is this really better than a Hillik? This is twice the cost of a Hillik. Like, why would you want this? And Hillik doesn't doom things. You can use Hillik on Dettlaff. You can use Hillik on Succubus. This can't be used on Dettlaff, on Succubus, on Toad. Like, if it wasn't for the doom thing, maybe it's a dry pass card and you pull both toads out of your deck because you didn't draw them round 1.
Yeah.
Corruption Allia could proc and save the Sheet Troll. Yeah. So you Lilith's Omen, something like a Plague Maiden and a Sheet Troll, right? On a road that you have an Itter. No, it doesn't matter. The Itter part doesn't matter. And you have like assuming you don't have any consumes. You summon Sheet Troll and Plague Maiden. Sorry, Plague Maiden and Sheet Troll. Plague Maiden dies, boost Sheet Troll by 2, and then Sheet Troll stays at 2 power. Because if anything I've learned from playing Sheet Troll is that 4 power is overkill for keeping a card alive. It's totally fine at 2 power.
I can't.
Vlad actually said Sheet Troll is a good card, and I lost my fucking mind. Now let's look at Art Fane.
Yeah.
But our consensus, here, let's rate each of these cards out of 10. What would you rate this one out of 10? And I'll tell you my rating as well. How much?
5.
5. I was going to give it 6. So yeah. Militally. What rating do you give this?
6.
6? Okay. Same. What about this card?
10.
35. I give it a 35 out of 10. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go with Art Fane. By the way, guys, remember when Sove came out and I lost my goddamn mind when we were doing the reveals? And I was like, this is insane. This is stupid. This will be in every freaking deck. And what happened? It was insane. It was stupid. It was in every freaking deck. And they nerfed it severely. They removed the Zeal order from it. Why couldn't they just show me the cards like a week before they released them, and I would have saved them a whole month of fucking trouble? Legion, I'll do this for free. I'll sign NDAs. It's no problem. I'll just tell you when a card's stupid. I told you when Failed Experiment was going to be bad. You remember? The day that Patch Notes for Failed Experiment came out, I said this card is I said everything's good, but I really think this is problem. This is bad. And you guys have had to nerf that deck and Failed Experiment twice now. I called that, did I not? I'm your man. I'll sign an NDA. Send me a screenshot of a thing you're thinking about. I'll tell you if it's dumb. That's my specialty. Okay, let's talk about Art Fane. It is an 11 provision artifact, so a little cheaper than War Council. It's not a tactic, so you can't play it. You can't tutor it with a 5 provision bronze. Sorry, not tutor it. You can't play it with Magni, and you can't tutor it with Mano, right?
Same cost as King of Beggars, right?
Yeah, a little bit like that. So it has resilience. We'll come back to that. Has an order. Look at the top 2 cards from your deck and choose one to move to the bottom. If it was an agent, give an enemy unit spying. Okay. So you look at it and it's a emissary or something, and you're like, I don't need this. Put it at the bottom of the deck. Cool.
Is Albrecht agent? It's a mage, right?
Albrecht is a mage. Yeah. Agents are here. These are all the agents. So Infiltrator, Emissary, so all the spies, but then Fangs is an agent. Master Disguise is an agent. Yeah, Shashank, that's correct. Courier is an agent. Mage Assassin is an agent. And that's actually really good. If you're playing Blademakers and you see this, you put it at the bottom of the deck. Now you won't draw it, right? Master Puppets is an agent. Seditious Aristocrats, Mage Torture, Blightmaker is an agent. Rico, who cares? False Seer is an agent. Even Lemons is an agent. Traherne is an agent. Lovely. But you don't want to put Traherne at the bottom of the deck. Well, maybe you do if it's round 2 and you see it. Because Traherne's not a round 3 card. Kanta's an agent. Maral is an agent because Nilfgaard has to work well with all the cancer. regardless of faction. Shillard, Mata, Brothens is an agent, although you'd never want to put Brothens at the bottom of your deck, I don't think. Vatier, Stefan Skellen, Reens, and even Vilgefortz Renegade is an agent. There's a lot of agents. Top 2 cards from your deck, then choose one to move to the bottom. But you can click the order whenever you want. This can come out in round 1, and you can click the order in round 2. So... And you have, in Nilfgaard, you have cards like Vikovar Novice, right? That can put a card on top of your deck. You have cards like do you have other ways of putting a card at the top of your deck?
Not with Nilfgaard, no.
Any neutrals?
No, only an NR, right? I mean, you can use stuff like Blightmaker, I guess.
Yeah, Blightmaker does it. So it says, if it was an agent, give an enemy unit spying. If it was an aristocrat, give an enemy unit bleeding. Are there cheap aristocrats? Yep, Van Morlehem.
Yeah.
And then we have dames and aristocrats. We have Ciri, Roderick, lots of aristocrats that you may not draw or want to play in round 3.
The deck you're playing this in is probably just aristocrats and agents, so everything's working.
So everything's what?
Like if you're playing this in Ball, your cards are either aristocrats or agents. That's your entire deck.
Yeah, this is an example of a deck I think I would play it in. I'd probably get rid of spotters or something.
Yeah. You have a lot of targets, it's fine.
So, that's the order. The order seems okay. It's a one-time thing. You give bleeding or spying. You give a status to an enemy unit. And combined with Philippe, it's very powerful. Because or Emir or Philippe and Emir, you know, obviously it's good for seditious aristocrats and dames, but we already knew that. That's just any status. But specifically, Philippe, if a target has 2 statuses, it can poison it. So, if the enemy has a card, you click your pikeman, give it bleed, then you click this, give it spying, and then Philippe poisons it.
Yep.
If the unit you move is an aristocrat and an agent, you get both leader effects. Oh.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, so what are agents that are aristocrats? Oh, are there any? Seditious aristocrats is one, and this is in a Calvite deck. They would frequently be at the top. Dames are not agents.
We're not playing Calvite in this deck, pretty sure. Okay.
False Ciri. False Ciri is both. And you play this in every deck that isn't rent-free. Shillard? Nah, not really. Vatier? Not really.
Yeah, just Seditious Aristocrats.
So, False Ciri, Seditious Aristocrats. What's... Nothing else, right?
Yeah. And you're often fine moving them, because if you have specials in your deck, then Joachim can just move past the specials and pull the stuff you put at the bottom.
Yeah, so like, again, this is my ball deck, right? I have Danes, Pikemans, and let's just say these 2 spotters are now seditious. Okay, and instead of Kahir, I'm going to put in Garrison, but just understand that Garrison is a placeholder for the new artifact. Okay.
Yeah.
This thing thins itself. So in round one, when does it come out?
Whenever you play gold.
A gold aristocrat. So I think you could play with Calvit because Calvit himself is an aristocrat.
Do you want it in round one? I mean, you want it to be active in the round you have ball. So if you're not playing ball in round
but
two,
it has
you can.
resilience.
So if you play this round one, it goes to round two.
Yeah, but you just
So
two
you
up.
have to play. Okay.
So you play a gold aristocrat. It comes out. Wait. But every time you play another gold aristocrat, it refreshes the order.
Not even gold, even just bronze works, right?
Oh my god!
That's the thing. You play ball, you play two
Oh
thirsty
my!
dames.
This is like a pikeman on crack. This is a pikeman that can't be killed, and can be used every turn to give 2 statuses, which is same as.
Yes.
Oh my god! Holy shit! An unkillable pikeman with resilience, which applies 1 or 2 statuses every turn.
So it makes ball's short round way better.
Makes the long round way better too.
I mean, yeah, long round is winning, I think, with ball. Most likely.
That's ordering your deck from the bottom? What does that mean?
You're basically like... you're basically doing what Calvit does, right? Which is why I didn't want Calvit in the deck. Because the scout
Because
is
you can
consistent.
pick one of the two, but if you end up with 2 good cards, you gotta pick one, right?
You should be able to skip, right? You can skip with the other card.
Look at the top 2 cards and choose one to move to the bottom. You have to.
How is Envoy worded in NR? NR. Okay, you may move one.
Yeah, this one says may. Not choose one. Like Isvel says choose. No, this one says keep. What says choose? Like Scoundrel. Choose the bronze, right? You don't get to not pick one. This one says choose an unboosted enemy. You may choose the top 3 cards you deck instead. Oh, that's just because the instead part.
I just think you're probably playing this in a deck with enough thinning that sending cards to the bottom doesn't matter enough. So you're fine either way. You could play it in some weird ball hyper thin combo, maybe.
Well, is it the top 2 cards or top 2 units? Top 2 cards.
Yeah, so it's basically replacing
Oh,
that
then you wouldn't want to play in the
card.
Calvit deck because you wouldn't want specials. You want it all to be units.
Exactly. That can replace Dodrick in a hyper thin deck, I think.
Well, Dodrick lets you play some cards, and that's how you thin. Right, by putting it in your hand. This doesn't ever let the cards come to your hand. The cards stay in the deck.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah. I think we're playing Blightmakers.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it helps because the stuff you're sending down, like, is Mage Assassin. So Blightmaker thins, right? If you're not playing Cavalry, you'll probably require some stuff that thins, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Roderick's an aristocrat.
Like, still put in stuff. So why do we have Warhouse?
That was to tutor Ivar back in a different deck.
Yeah, so if the boost package is still as good, I think we still play that.
I don't know.
I don't think Imperial Enforcers, were they changed? Did they buff Imperial?
You need this because otherwise your stuff dies to Skellige.
Like, my point is, Enforcers are not good enough.
These guys are not aristocrats. The boosted guys.
True. Yeah. That's the question.
I was running them before because I was playing Calvite, and I knew when I was going to get them, and I was winning round war with Ivar. So the idea behind the deck before was win round 1 with Ivar and boost package, and then you can play Pikeman and Alba in round 3.
I think this has to be one of those double seditious, double thirsty game deck.
Yes.
You're winning this with literal huge seditious.
Yep. That's what I have. I have seditious. And Blightmakers are.
I think Philippe is just bad, but you can still play it.
Well, we can save Philippe with leader also in a deck like this.
I guess. Is Amir good? I don't know.
They give spying. When Amir's on the board, like they give it's every card they play gives a bunch of points to these.
Yeah, but isn't that the same thing that this new card is doing? Like, why do we need it?
That's true. War Council is good because it protects your pikemen. Because it lets you reach into your deck for stuff that you missed, like if you missed an aristocrat or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just value. Yes.
Yeah.
This can be optimized more, but for now, it looks decent enough. NG just has good cards now.
What's that?
You can put anything.
Yeah, NG has good. Whatever. Okay. So, for 11 provisions, it's a self-thinning perpetual pikeman that does 2 damage and 1 spying per turn potentially as a max, and sorts your deck for you.
Like today's standards, I don't think it's broken. I think it's very good.
Think about it this way. The biggest problem with Ball, the reason Ball, I think, is not a real deck, and I've played a lot of Ball this season, the last 3 seasons. I've played lots of different variations. I played with Tibor, I played Standard, I played Calvite, I played without Calvite, I played with Boost Package, I played it with and without Pikemen. And what I found works the best with Ball actually, the only thing I found that works the best with Ball is when you have a package that A, doesn't let your ladder opponent know that your ball, as in you avoid playing anything that's like that would only be in a ball deck, and B, it can win round 1. Or at the very least defend a bleed very easily without, again, revealing that you're ball. Because as soon as they know you're ball, they'll just go down to 0 and force a short round, then you suck. You know.
Yeah, so this, like, even short round, you're fine with this, I guess?
Think of this as a card. I think of it as a card that I play in round 2. Because it helps me, like, oftentimes I have extra dames,
well,
like, because the scenario gives you a
depends
dame.
on when you first play your gold aristocrat.
Yeah. So you just don't want to play Gold Aristocrat round 1, which is not at all difficult if you don't have Calvite. It's very easy to avoid playing a Gold Aristocrat.
Yeah.
You're just playing like Diplos and Bronzes and Bite Makers and whatever. In round 2, if they're bleeding you, you drop. If you're Calvite, you drop your Calvite. If not, you drop something else. And this thing comes out and it helps you.
And even if you're forced to drop ball in round 2, this thing can sort out your round 3 hand.
Yeah, because in round 3 you play the dame and instantly it gets boosted to 6 or 7.
Like, even if you're forced to play the entire dame ball package round 2, you can, like, if your deck is built properly, you can set up your top decks.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and it has resilience, so it carries into round 3. Like, this is like Candle that doesn't require coins, but can be used once a time.
It's not better than Candle, I'm pretty sure.
I think it is.
Because Candle protects. That's big.
Well, this protects too by boosting.
Sure, but
isn't that the same
you
thing?
You can protect those cards in other ways too. Like, if you play Dame, it naturally protects itself because it procs ball. Stuff like that.
I mean, one time, but like when you first play ball, that Dame is always 4, same as Croakman Preacher, and that one dies. This being on the board, just like a Pikeman being on the board, except the Pikeman has to survive. This will stay on the board. So this being on the board means that when you play Masquerade Ball in your turn 1, immediately that Dame goes to 6 or 7. Which is the same thing you would do if you were spending 2 coins to boost with Candle.
Like, based on all the broken stuff they've released in the past few months.
I mean, I guess relative brokenness, who cares? My point is, I mean, for 11 provisions,
it's very good.
It's expensive, but considering the order is refreshed every time you, like, and you can set it up in round 2, like, that's insane.
Yeah, I would say it's as good as King of Beggars. Like, it's basically the same thing for spies.
I mean, I think it's as good as Candle.
Okay, I mean, sure.
Oh my god, because it's like solves 3 problems. It solves your bleeding problem, because that's what Candle did for Syndicate as well, right? It lets you like be uninteractive when you're being bled, because, well, not really. But yeah. How many goals can you play to refresh it? No.
You don't need to play goals.
Any aristocrat refreshes the order. Any aristocrat. So when you play a Dame, it refreshes it. When you play a Seditious, it refreshes it. When you play a freaking Van Morlehem Hunter, it refreshes it. This thing gets refreshed like every 5 seconds.
We don't play Ducal Gods. But...
This is Imperial Formation. Ducal Guards got buffed.
Oh, really?
Yep. So, you play a Ducal Guard, and then if it's on the edge, every time you leader, it gets an extra 2 points. So one Ducal Guard adds 8 points to your leader.
That's nice.
It's like very good to defend a bleed or to, get out of round 1 alive. I'm just looking for see if there's like agents or aristocrats that I would want, or if it's just. Oh wow, I have a lot of provisions. Never mind. Because I wanted to play the Van Morlehems because I thought more aristocrats is better. But I have a lot of provisions.
We play Joachim, right? We always play Joachim.
I mean, do we? Because we already go very tall as it is.
Then, so if we don't want to play more aristocrats, we can just play the boost package, right?
Yeah, that might be a better use of our provisions. Because this guy also plays another card, which I like.
Yeah. Let's play like, I don't know, one Blight Maker maybe.
Well, I want to make sure we don't miss Ball.
Then Roderick's fine. Yeah.
And he's an aristocrat, so
yeah.
If you see him in deck, Fergus is another option.
Nah, Fergus is 2020.
You only play Fergus if you're playing Impera, I think. Also, we're gonna have one extra provision tomorrow. Today it's War Council. War Council will become this other thing. And maybe I don't need the Ramon now that I think about it, because it would only work with.
Yeah, Ramon.
I was gonna put soldiers in here, but
so something at 11 provisions. Let's see. We can always play Broughton's, I guess.
Broughton's is so bad.
Oh yeah.
I don't need
Vincent.
I can run Vilga, and then we can just play
Yeah.
Usurper.
Yeah.
Usurper's better.
Agreed, yeah.
Good idea.
You could also go Beauclair if you want, but maybe not. Fine.
Yeah, Beauclair is good too.
This is fine, I think.
This is better, in my opinion. I don't need the Van Morlehem. Whatever's. Actually, no. We want because of the location. We do want.
Yeah, we don't
want a lot of
cheaper
specials,
Superman.
really. Because you want to get as many uses from that thing as possible.
How are we winning round 1? We're not, right? Just not winning round 1.
Yeah, we are. We have boost package. Easy.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, we have Blue Hertz. I think I actually just changed this to Busan. And here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, he's an aristocrat, I guess.
So here's how it's gonna work. If we'll either win with Kahir or Ivar, like one of these two will win round 1, and then when the patch comes out, this will go to the 11 card, and then I'll find a provision somewhere. It's fine. We have a lot of flexibility. What we're doing. We don't have to draw every card. So that kind of works by itself because it just has a lot of points. Every card it plays for like a lot of value. Okay.
Yeah.
Chitrol? Lord of Flies, it was when they were talking about the monster card in today's stream. We haven't gone to SD yet, no. We haven't gotten to ST yet. This is the last one. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, we rated this as a 5 or 6, and we both said this was like a 6. This was like 10 out of 10 or better. This is ridiculous. This is disgusting. This is better than so on release. And then,
Yeah.
what do we think of this card?
I think 9. 9 is fine.
Yeah, 9 out. Yeah, 8 or 9 sounds about right. Dana, Mia? I don't know how you say this.
I don't-
Okay, so this is another evolving card. It's interesting. So ST and SK got an evolving card.
The others also might get it because we haven't seen the second card.
Okay,
Right.
but it would be weird. I guess not. It's given some of the color comments that they were making during the transitions. I think that they recorded them in a different order and then they changed them. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So starts as a provider, which is a relict. That's good for harmony. But same as the leader. Okay. Doomed. Okay. Why isn't? Can we make this cursed and make this a relict? Like it's an omen. Or organic, one of the two. What's with these tags, man? I don't understand. Am I supposed to play Eltibold with the Rupture card?
This seems bad. Like, I don't think this round 1 or non-evolved form is good.
At the end of your turn, this is if you play it, right? If it's on the board. Boost
Yeah.
all ST units in your hand with primary cards that you don't control by 1. So if you have like a lot of elves and you have a dwarf on the board, every turn, like let's say you have 6 elves in your
Sounds
hand.
great, but
It's 6 points a turn of carryover.
yeah, but I don't know.
It's like a mutagen, right?
I don't think you play it. Yeah.
And it's 14 provisions for a 7 body plus a mutagenerator effect. It's not seeming worth it. So when in hand, after you win a round. So either if you win round 1 or in round 3, because I mean you had to win a round to get to round 3. It becomes this. What's the difference? At the end of your turn. So it gains a deploy.
Yeah.
And then instead of at the end of your turn, boost the cards in your hand, it says whenever you play it ST. Okay. So it's just a scenario type effect.
Yeah, and the deploy is pretty good here, right?
Boost the
So
lowest
it's-
power unit of each. Oh. So if you got like 6 or 7 categories, which is not at all hard,
Yeah.
like dwarf, elf, human, dryad, tree, token, relic.
Like, it's a huge finisher.
So it deploys as a 7 plus another like 14. 21 points just on deploy. And then when
In a long round, I guess. Yeah.
well, okay, either every time you play a new card, it gets boosted. So it means that you can play it at any point in the round. You can play it at the end or at the beginning, and it will give you the same amount of
Yeah,
points.
same value.
Well, assuming your units live. If your units are not going to live, then playing this early is better. Like
True.
playing it early is likely to protect them from anything that isn't SK Raid damage, because SK Raid doesn't care how tall you are. It kills them anyway. With a 12 power gutting slash.
Yeah, even in a short round, it's like, what, at least 14? So it's pretty good, I think. Not broken, but it's good.
Also, it has
And-
harmony. So ideally earlier is better. But if for some reason you're not safe, you don't like if you're against Nilfgaard and you don't want it to get locked right away, you can play it late and it will still get a ton of value.
Yeah.
And it's a relic, so it will proc all your other harmonies.
I think you can even fit it in some other decks that are not Harmony if you build the deck correctly. I think it's just a mid-range card you can just slam anywhere.
Yeah, any deck that isn't Deadeye Ambush.
Yeah.
This plays for. This is like a Giga Oak. It's like a Giga Regis, is what it is. It's a Regis that you don't have to constantly apply bleeds to grow. You just have to have units that are alive.
Yeah, I just think you can't fit this and the scenario in the same deck.
Good.
I just
This
think
can be
SP has
tutored. Scenario
provision
can't.
issues.
Fuck the scenario. I'm never playing scenario ever again. Why would I want the scenario?
The scenario is more points, right? Scenario is just more points.
Sure. But the scenario can't be played as a finisher.
Sure, but it's not an unconditional finisher. But yeah. I think they're interchangeable, and depending on the deck and the meta, it's either the scenario or this card. I think it's a very good card. I just don't think it solves or creates any issues. It's just fine.
Okay. So, what leader would you want to play a Harmony with?
I'm guessing Gorilla is terrible now, so not that.
People are playing Gorilla with Shiru and Igni, and using the leader to boost Shiru to the right power. They play sentries.
That's
they
not
play.
it.
That's the standard like Harmony deck at the moment. They don't play
I don't
Nova.
think you played with Gaul ever. Like, Gaul is so bad because you already have Dana on leader.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, why would you do that? Because this is already a relic. So it would either be
Not Ninja's Gift because that's completely Dryad focused.
Yeah, so it's either Precision Strike,
It's just Precision Strike, I think.
not Guerrilla Tactics.
Maybe. I don't know how good it is anymore. Like,
Guerrilla Tactics
I'm not
helps
talking
protect your engines by boosting them by 3. And people are playing it.
Yeah, I guess.
Precision Strike can be good too because it thins.
There might be some, like, if somehow someone can build the based on its first form, then maybe Invigorate somehow. I don't think so, but maybe.
Oh. Yeah, but that wouldn't be a Harmony deck. That would just be a hand buff deck.
Yeah, you'll still get some Harmony because ST's units are just so varied.
Yeah.
You never cut Simlas, what?
What?
Yeah, someone in chat said
People already cut
Simlas.
like this puzzle cut Simless and he was just playing Zoltan instead.
Yeah, but not for this.
For-
Simlas is point slam. Zoltan is also point slam. This can be a point slam if you have stuff
Yeah,
on
this
board.
is you interchange it with scenario. That's the trade-off. Or at least it fills the same role as the scenario does.
Exactly.
I'm just like putting the must-have Harmony cards in, right?
Is Ranger good? I don't know.
Yeah, poisons are
Maybe.
good.
Sure.
It's Harmony and it's poison.
Also, Call doesn't pull the. Okay, that might be an issue. So if you play the other card, Call can pull.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
pull
It's
it
better
out.
than the scenario because you can tutor it, and that means you don't have
Sometimes better, not always.
what?
Sometimes better. Let's just not say it's always better.
Well, because you had to run Curse Scroll before. You could run like Crystal Skull now. Because you just need it by round 3. You don't need it like in round 1.
That does help. I agree.
I mean, you could also just run Decree too, and then
We don't need to run Oniro anymore. So
yeah. So, SD units. What else? What else goes in a Harmony deck?
Depends. Like, you could play Barnabas, I guess. Maybe not. You don't play that, right?
Nowadays,
I
everybody
don't
does because for this
Oh,
leader.
okay. Oh.
It gives you flexibility on your Shiru.
Yeah, I'm behind the times. I can understand.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean that we're gonna play Shiru, but if you're playing Guerrilla Tactics,
Yeah.
I think like your Saskia
nice
needs to pull these
control.
things out, and
Yeah.
like you just need like beasts. You need this guy. Maybe it's Barnabas instead of Percival. I don't know yet. I'll just add both, and we'll just remove one. And then you run like the dwarfs because they're just always good. Some people run more poisons with these Forest Whisperers because you're putting your
We can
Saskia.
always stack them later.
What's that?
We can always stack later. We don't need to put in text right now.
Right. We want an abandoned girl since we don't have Milva. I don't know if you need a machine, but let's just add one. And then
Elves, do we? Where are elves?
sentries are elves.
Oh, yeah, sentries are elves. True. So, are we missing top end cards? I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Heat
Probably
Wave or something.
Simless Vanadane is a.
Yeah. Or I don't think
Zoltan
Simla's
or
Vanadane
Oak.
makes sense. Maybe yeah, Zoltan probably better. Though if
Zoltan
if
was
we
better
are
with Milva. I think because we don't have Milva.
No, so because we are this varied in our deck building, maybe we can have both the scenario and that card for 2 separate rounds. Maybe. I'm not sure.
I'll just put Renfrey in as the placeholder for that since it's a unit.
Yeah, then
Right,
we can cut
wait.
Simlas.
We'd have to cut Percival too. Or sorry, Shiru.
We can cut Simlas.
Oh, Simless? Okay.
No.
It would just become a very greedy point slammy deck with no control. So
Well, the point being, you're playing units in both rounds, so it just naturally helps in like you don't have to work towards it. Your deck just does stuff, right?
yeah, but you wouldn't want to play like Dana is much better in a round, you know, in a second or third round, like than it is in the first round, right?
But why? No, not really. Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Like you'd rather
I agree.
play if you have a choice, you'd rather play scenario round 1 and this round 3.
Sure, you don't have to play round 1.
Can you not pull on the mouse cord? Thank you. I'm just gonna build it like without scenario first,
Sure.
just to start from the baseline. And guys, if I'm missing something important, let me know. Look, there's a card we forgot.
13 provisions left. What do we need? A high end, I guess.
No, I can get rid of this chariot and put in.
You can put Barnabas, maybe.
I have Percival. I could upgrade that if you want, but
No, wait, we have 18 provisions left. What are we putting in?
hold on. I'm putting in an elf. Purify elf. It's probably most helpful. And then
I don't think we need elves because the problem with elves is we have already 2 high end in Simlas and this, and the Veleys are gonna eat up everything.
I already have.
We have 2 high end, 2 low end in the sentries. So.
Yep.
And if we have to Veley early, then that harmony is gone.
Okay, so right now we actually have room for a 14.
Yeah. Perfectly.
The only thing like we don't have is Alyssa or whatever, which
Oh yeah, we need Alyssa.
well, people are running this without Alyssa, right? So what they do is they just
Believe.
play Curse Scroll, and in round 1, right, they play Vanadane to like hand fix or whatever.
put one in the bottom.
Yeah. Put one in the bottom when they grab like their either their scenario or their Saskia.
Yeah, we can do that. Like with Vanadane, we should always be able to win round 1, or at least not lose uneven, I guess.
Yeah, and then Simlas just becomes it plays 3 waylays instead of 4. Oh, and Dana is a unique category, true, for Saskia purposes. But I'm like pretty sure this covers everything anyway.
Yeah.
Like we like in a good Harmony deck, you're always covered on Saskia.
Does Dana boost herself? Can you check this text again?
Lowest power allied unit.
Oh, allied unit. No, I don't think so.
It comes out as 7. But if you have the scenario on the board, every unit gets boosted by like 2 or 4. Sorry, 3 or 4.
Yeah, so this is basically the
Or 5.
scenario's passive ability, I guess. Kinda.
Scenario boosts by 1 per tag. So that was one reason, for example, Zoltan was used because Zoltan has 3 tags. So he was coming down as a.
I think most thing has 2 tags in Square Tail, right?
And
think it's
there's
got
2.
buffed.
These curse like Treant is 1. Percival is 1. This is 2. This is 2. 2. 1. One of the reasons I was looking at. I mean, we could just play another anything. Just curious what the tags are.
Dryad's fine, I think.
Elf Soldier, Elf Agent.
No, I think the Harmony Dryad makes more sense.
Oh, don't people play Hamadryads actually? Right now? Chat?
Yeah, how do you buff? Oh, that one. Okay.
No,
That one's
Hamadryad,
fine.
Dryad Matrix, sorry.
That's fine.
And just like 1 dwarf, just so you have a dwarf. Because you're not really wanting to play one of these in round 3.
Yeah.
Where,
We're lacking dwarves, right?
yeah, is there a good dwarf other than Zoltan?
No. We could play. No. I don't think we can play. I think with this style of deck, we have to let go of the poisons and probably run some.
Yeah, they run. There's an Igni in here too, usually.
Yeah, I mean we're cutting that for now. We have Simlas as control. Like
What's our tall punish?
Igni got nerfed, right?
Yeah, but you have movement, so you can stack a row.
Oh yeah.
Like,
We just play. I think we just. Ideally, we just cut Simlas, Vanadane, put in the tall punish stuff, and something else. Yeah. Maybe you put in Zoltan for the second dwarf and remove Vanadane.
yeah,
for
one nice
Igni.
thing about Simless is that currently it thins your deck for you, and Vanadine hand fixes, right? So they also give you.
Vanadane hand fixes is a questionable. Like similar Vanadane has a lot of issues, right? There's a lot of bricks and stuff can happen.
Only if you play Alyssa. If you don't, then it's you just slam it. Right?
Maybe.
All right. Well, we'll fix it on patch
Yes.
day.
Sure.
For now, I'm just gonna put a Zoltan in here, so I can play this on the ladder. I've been itching to play some Gwen. What I'll do is I'll just put a Chariot in, and Chariot will give me stuff.
Yeah.
Is Chariot good?
That's fine, right? It protects stuff. It does a lot. Maybe play Shuru if you want.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna cut some of this advantage. No, I wasn't. Damn it. I screwed up there. Simless, Vanadine. I take out Zoltan and then put in Shiru. And 2 points. Take out the 2 poisons. And put in an Igni. So I need 2 fours, which is easy. That's my 2 Dwarf Berserkers. Ta-da! Willow's still chilling? Yeah, Willow's just good even without poisons. Oh.
So how much do you rate this card, this new one? I'd say 8.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 8. I feel like I'd have to play like it. The flow of it is what.
Yeah.
Like it's the rest of the deck, right? This is a card that like works really well. Like can be really really good if it solves a lot of problems for like the decks that could fit it.
I don't think Harmony really has much problems. It's just everything else about the deck.
Right now, like Scoia'tael is kind of weak.
Yeah, but that's not Harmony's fault. I mean, they nerfed the middle out of the ground, so.
Yeah, that was really, really rough. I was very unhappy about both the Guerrilla Tactics change and the Milva change.
Yeah.
Not that I like getting my shit removed by Milva, but...
Honestly, the first time Milva came out last year was one of the best metas we had, because it kept so much nonsense in check.
Yeah, it did keep Alumni in check, but it was really awful. Like, it was 50% of the ladder. Because, especially at lower MMRs and ranks, like, you played a 7, it died to making a bomb. You played an 8, it died to a rock slide. You had to get to 9 for something to not immediately die every single turn that you played it. It was insane.
Yeah.
So it did solve the alumni problem, but a better solution to the alumni problem has been implemented now, which is the role locking thing. I think the main reason Harmony sucks now is SK and NG Boost are really good, and Milva was a big part of that Harmony deck. The Milva, Simless.
I think the reason people went to Milva was because all the other leaders for ST just sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah. I'm crying in monsters right now. Gurney is 12 provisions.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, the Fruits leader is 12 provisions. Okay, you compare that to, like, ST leaders, and I'm just like, man, I wish we had some of those. Because, like, this is just 12 points of hand buff. Straight up. Right? This is 12 points minimum.
Yep.
It's way more than 12, but it's 12 points minimum. But if you look at monster leaders, Overwhelming Hunger is what? 6 points? Scent of Blood is 12. The Relic one is 9. I'm just counting the floor of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Fruits is hard to quantify, but ugh. Just 12 provisions just kills your deck building.
Yeah, monsters.
Just monster leaders are all taxed. It's not like the monster cards are better, point per provision either. So it's not like
behind the times. Like, at some point, it made sense. You have no provisions for fruits, but now it doesn't.
Yeah, because the amount of points, average points per provision has changed, but fruits isn't any bigger. Yeah. It's not like growing 2 per turn or anything. Whereas, casually 4 provision cards are playing for 10 points guaranteed, and fruits is still 1 point. Like, what? Like, units are not... Like, the base power of units doesn't... Yeah, that was because I relicked Embe. Had nothing to do with... right?
Yeah.
And I don't care at one point anything. I care about a game that is playable and balanced. And I'm just saying that, like, when it comes to just the floor value of points, like this is 9, right? This is on the low end, and this is 5, but 11 really in every single deck and 2 thinning. 11 and 2 thinning is really good in my opinion. 11 and 2 thinning is better than any monster leader. Okay, well, what happens at below rank 20 is literally a bunch of monkeys pressing buttons. Like that, who cares? It, like, it was 15 points that you can't fuck up. Oh my god, below rank 20. Like, the lowest rank I care about for balance is like 1 to 3. That's it.
Okay, I'll dip now. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sheath. Everybody say thank you and bye to Sheath.
Bye.
Cheers. Alright, so that was our review of the new cards. So to reiterate, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you excited? Like, which of these cards are you guys most excited to play? The monster one. The warrior one? Yeah. This is the one you're most excited about, Shashank? And then NG? Yeah. I am excited to play this one. Honestly, it's my kind of card. This is like the iter of this card drop, you know? It's the runt of the litter. Well, it really seems really... Yeah, I can't quite figure out how to play this. You know? It's not really playable. Like, it like requires a swarm for the payoff and then spawn a random card. Like, what is that about? And I can't see a way of shuffling it more than 6 times. I'd still rather, I think somehow this is less insulting than this. Even though this is only for Pinsir, whereas at least this guy can be played in like Thrive and Relics, in my opinion. Because you can summon Self-Eaters. Right? And the doomed on Self-Eaters don't matter if you split them and then the split ones gets bigger. You understand how it works or like what it's for? I understand how it works, I don't understand what it's for. Why can't I summon 2 Self-Eaters? Oh, because of the doomed and the rupture. I forgot that part. Okay, it's really just for Mamuna and Gurney. Nothing to be excited about. Same old cycle of broken shit.